Miss Marvel actress Iman Vellani recently commented on the Marvels' disastrous box office returns. She also responded to critics describing the movie as woke. If you like what we do here at the channel, please hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any videos. Let's get into what she had to say here. But before we do that, let's remind you just how awful the Marvel's box office was. The film has currently grossed 65 million domestically and another 96.3 million internationally for a global gross of 161.3 million over 2 weekends. The film's opening weekend had the worst opening weekend for an MCU film in history with 46.1 million domestically. In its second weekend, the box office grosses plummeted an estimated 78% to 10.2 million in its second weekend. Both of those numbers are box office records for the MCU, but they are box office records that you do not want to hold. So Iman Vellani was asked about the absolute disastrous box office returns by Yahoo News' Ethan Alter, and she responded saying, "I don't want to focus on something that's not even in my control because what's the point? That's for Bob Iger." So she's laying the blame firmly on Bob Iger for the disastrous box office returns for the Marvels. Cheeky, very cheeky. Nevertheless, she went on and said, "The box office has nothing to do with me. I'm happy with the finished product and the people that I care about enjoyed the film. It's genuinely a good time watching this movie, and that's all we can ask for with these films. It has superheroes. It takes place in space. It's not that deep, and it's about teamwork and sisterhood. It's a fun movie, and I'm just so happy that I can share it with people." So I actually am going to disagree a little bit. I don't think people are enjoying it. I think it had a B cinema score, which shows that a lot of people did not really like the film. Usually you want to have an A minus in order for kind of word of mouth to spread and really get people to go to the box office to see that. And people clearly aren't going to the box office to see that because it's having absolutely disastrous box office returns. As far as what she had to say to critics of the film describing it as woke, she said, "I had a lot of experience in high school alone when I would share my excitement with someone and then they'd immediately shut me down for being so excited. I would hate to see that within the fan community as well because it does feel awful. If people are excited about something, let them be excited about it. And you have constructive criticism. And if you have constructive criticism, voice it, but never be the wet blanket on someone else's excitement." I think you can definitely question people's excitement. I think you can also share your own opinions about something, even if it is negative. Just because you have a negative opinion does not mean you are not allowed to share it. That's utterly ridiculous. And that does seem kind of what she's trying to say here, even though she is sugarcoating it a little bit. She also went on to note that she was happy to have Stephen King defend the film, saying having Stephen King in anyone's corner is pretty awesome. And we'll get to why that's hypocritical right here, because this is what Stephen King had to say when he injected himself into the conversation about the Marvels' box office. He said, "I don't go to MCU movies. I don't care for them, but I find this barely mass gloating over the low box office for the Marvels very unpleasant. Why gloat over failure?" He then added, "Some of the rejection of the Marvels may be adolescent fanboy hate. Yuck, girls." Doesn't seem very positive right there. Seems very negative. And if you're just supposed to be saying positive things, I don't know why you would think that having Stephen King in your corner is awesome, because it kind of is contradicting what you're actually saying, where he's insulting people who are not who did not enjoy the movie and are celebrating the film's disaster. Former CBC executive Paul Chato actually explained to King why former fans were celebrating the film's failure. He said, "Because it's not a failure of we've done our best. It's a failure of we've bent the original character. We've applied all the DEI rules. We've emasculated the men. We are crapping on the nerds and geeks we hate. We are shocked. We are shocked it failed." Chuck Dixon, the creator of Bane and Alpha Core Scribe, recently explained why people should be celebrating the Marvel's failure at the box office. He says, "This bears repeating because the majority of us are tired of seeing characters and franchises we loved sacrificed on the altar of wokeness by people who don't have the love, talent, craft, or business ever getting anywhere near these properties. That this movie is failing so big is a cause for celebration. It's a wake-up call for the entertainment business that they need to get back to producing the well-crafted stuff they used to be capable of. I mean, when a weak cheese movie of a dryball subject like Oppenheimer is out-earning the latest popcorn blockbuster, that's us telling them to get their crap together." So kudos to Chuck Dixon on saying that. But let's finish this up here with Vellani talking to Slash Film about the state of Marvel. She says, "I think a lot of things. I think not necessarily within Marvel. I think Marvel is very good about they know where they go wrong and they know how to fix it. It takes time to get there. I think we have lots of evidence that shows that is not the case. You just have to look at phases 4 and 5 and then look at the disastrous box office of the Marvels. They are not figuring out what is going wrong, and they clearly don't have the antidote to it." Then speaking specifically to the fandom, she said, I would like to see improvement within the fandom. I think people need to be a little bit more positive. These fandoms, the whole point of them is so that people who are passionate about these nerdy things, they can talk about it without being judged and can share their excitement with the only other people in the entire world who will reciprocate. I'm going to disagree with that. I think you can still be part of fandom. You can judge other people's opinions. You can have your own opinions. That is being part of the fandom, having discussions, disagreeing, having arguments, having debates. Those are all part of fandoms. It doesn't always have to be positive. There can be negatives. Just being negative is not a bad thing. You can be negative and still be a good thing. It's not always a bad thing. Nevertheless, she goes on and says, so it would be just like Marvel. They're growing and they're adjusting to the times. They're listening and responding to the fans' criticisms and feedback. So I think people just need to be a little bit patient and let them cook. I think keep the fandom positive. In the meantime, share what you are enjoying. But I'm going to disagree with that too. You don't always have to share what you're enjoying. And I think there is a responsibility to tell people, hey, if you saw something, it's garbage, and you don't want them to waste that time on it, I think you can tell them, hey, man, don't go and see the Marvels. Don't waste 90 minutes. Don't waste 2 hours, whatever the time is. You don't need to go see it. It's not worth your time. You got better things to do. Don't go see that. And I think there's nothing wrong with letting your friends know that you think that thing sucks and you don't want them to be watching something that sucks because you care about them. But that is what I think about what Iman Vellani had to say here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.